I know how to sound, so I'll start with the part that matters. My childhood dog has been dead for 17 years, and yet last week I saw him sitting at the end of my hallway like he'd just wandered in from the backyard. Same floppy ears, same muddy paws, same patient stare he used to greet me with after school. Only this time, he didn't wag his tail. He didn't even blink. It was around 2 a.m. I'd been awake too long, scrolling through old photos for reasons I still can't fully explain. Something about the loneliness of the hour made me reach for pictures of when life felt simpler, when he was still curled up at my feet during thunderstorms, when my parents still smiled like we were a proper family. I guess nostalgia makes you do stupid things. It pulls you into places you shouldn't go digging. I remember getting up to grab water. The hallway was dark except for the soft blue glow coming from my phone screen. I didn't sense anything strange at first. Just that quiet stillness houses get late at night when you hear your own breath louder than anything else. I turned and there he was, sitting perfectly still, head tilted slightly, like he'd been waiting for me to notice. For a moment, I felt warmth flood my chest, this knee-jerk, childish joy, the same feeling I used to get when I'd see him run up to me in the yard. My brain reached for that memory so fast it actually hurt. But then I realized he shouldn't be here. He couldn't be here. I whispered his name before I even understood what I was doing. My voice came out small, cracked. The dog didn't respond. His chest didn't rise. His ears didn't twitch. His shadow, God, I swear I'm not making this up, fell in the wrong direction, like the light was coming from somewhere behind him, even though it wasn't. I stepped forward slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. With each step, my heartbeat got louder, drowning out every other sound in the house. And for a split second, I swore I saw something flicker in his eyes. Not recognition, not affection, something else. Something that shouldn't have belonged to a dog. I blinked. He was gone. Just gone. No sound, no movement, no fading. 1 second he was there, and the next, the hallway was completely empty. I stood frozen for a long time, gripping the wall to stay upright. I kept waiting for the illusion to break. Maybe I'd find his shape in the shadows, or hear nails clicking across the floor. But the silence stayed, heavy and thick, pressing around me like a memory trying too hard to come back. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. It's strange, though, his image won't leave my mind. The way he sat, the way he stared, the way something inside me twisted when he vanished. It felt like he was trying to tell me something, or remind me of something. But the truth is, there's a lot from that time I don't remember anymore.
After that night, I convinced myself it was exhaustion, a hallucination, a trick of shadows, something my brain dragged up from the past because I'd been spiraling into old photos like a drunk digging through old messages. I didn't expect to see him again. But 2 days later, I was driving home from work when I spotted something on the shoulder of the highway. A small shape, low to the ground, still. I slowed instinctively, and then my stomach bottomed out. It was him, or something shaped like him. The fur looked wrong, too wet, like he'd been dragged from a river. One eye reflected the headlights normally, but the other glowed pale, like it belonged to something nocturnal. And the way he breathed, if it was breathing, didn't match any rhythm I recognized. Too shallow, too slow, like something was trying to imitate life from the outside. I blinked hard, gripping the steering wheel. When I opened my eyes, he was still there, watching me. Head perfectly still, but his ears seemed delayed, like they twitched a second too late. I should have driven off, but I didn't. I rolled down the window a few inches and whispered his name again. The sound felt wrong out loud, too fragile, like I was speaking it in a place where it didn't belong anymore. He didn't move. A truck blasted past in the other lane, sending a burst of wind across the shoulder. Grass flattened, dust lifted, wrappers spun, and he didn't react to any of it. Not a blink, not a flinch. Like he wasn't physically occupying the same space. My vision blurred for a second, grief cracking open something I'd kept nailed shut for years. I pressed my forehead against the steering wheel and breathed slowly until the world stopped tilting. When I looked up again, he was gone. After that, it kept happening. I saw him sitting outside a grocery store entrance, dripping water onto dry concrete. I saw him halfway up the stairwell in my apartment building, one paw bent at an impossible angle. I saw him reflected in a glass bus shelter across the street, but not on the sidewalk itself. Every time he watched me with that same silent, patient stare. Every time his body looked just a little more wrong. People around me never noticed him. They walked straight past, oblivious. Sometimes they even walked through where he stood. And each time that happened, my chest tightened, like something sharp was unfurling behind my ribs. I started sleeping less, eating less, avoiding mirrors. My memories from childhood blurred at the edges like waterlogged pages. I kept trying to recall the day he died, but the details slipped through my mind like sand. All I remember clearly is the guilt, a heavy, shapeless guilt that makes my throat close when I touch it. The past few days, the sightings have gotten closer, more deliberate. He appears facing me now. Never from the side, never from behind, always head on, as though he's waiting for me to acknowledge whatever it is I've forgotten. And last night, he was sitting at the foot of my bed. Not breathing, not blinking, just watching, waiting.
I didn't scream. I should have. Anyone else would have. But when I saw him there, illuminated by the faint streetlight leaking through the blinds, I felt something other than fear. Recognition. Memory. A pressure behind my eyes, like a door I'd nailed shut was starting to buckle. The dog wasn't just staring this time. He looked expectant, focused, like he wanted me to finally see something. The room was cold, colder than the rest of the apartment. The air felt heavy, almost damp. And beneath that quiet stillness, I heard it. A faint, uneven sound. Breathing. Not his, mine. Like I was hyperventilating without noticing. I sat up slowly. "What do you want?" I whispered. His head tilted. Not like a dog's, but like something studying the gesture of a dog. Mimicking it. The memories came in flashes. A rainy afternoon. A locked bedroom door. A fight downstairs. Raised voices. My own hands shaking. His whining on the other side of the door. The sound of something falling. A yelp. Silence. Then nothing. My mind recoiled from the rest. I clutched my head. The dog didn't move. The shadows around him felt wrong, too tall, stretching toward me, as if they were trying to bridge the space between us. My breath turned shallow. I didn't mean... I stopped. The words tasted like a lie. He rose, slowly, too slowly, like each joint resisted the motion until it finally clicked into place. His eyes weren't mismatched anymore. They were empty. Not hollow, just vacant, like windows with no house behind them. He took one step toward me, then another. But the floor didn't creak. The mattress didn't shift. He wasn't touching anything. He stopped right beside the bed and lowered his head near mine. I felt no heat, no breath, but something inside my chest twisted painfully, like someone tugged hard on a memory I'd buried too deep. And then, finally, I remembered the last thing I ever said to him. It wasn't kind. It wasn't patient. It wasn't the way a child should speak to something that loved him unconditionally. I whispered his name again, but this time it didn't feel like calling to a dog. It felt like calling to something that had taken his shape because I wouldn't face what really happened. The shadows behind him shifted, thickened, took on the faint outline of something larger, taller, something that had been in the room with us that day all along, unnoticed, soaking into the memory until I forgot it entirely. A shape I still can't describe, a shape that leaned closer. The dog's eyes filled with a glint of recognition, finally, like he'd been waiting years for me to reach this moment. "Is this my fault?" I breathed. The shape behind him moved. The dog blinked for the first time, and the air went still. Then everything went dark, like someone snuffed out the room. When the lights flickered back on, the dog was gone, but the indentation on the mattress beside me is still there, and whatever made it isn't done with me yet.